Next up at UFC Vegas 93, we have Julia Polastri taking on Josefine Knutsson. Josefine Knutsson undefeated in her career, 7-0. She is she is coming off a dominant win over Marnik Mann in her UFC debut. She's taking on Julia Polastri. Julia Polastri 12-3 in her career, riding a 4-fight win streak into her UFC debut. This is another controversial spot. It's controversial because of Jakey's pick on this, but also controversial because a lot of people are convinced that Josefine Knutsson is like the real deal, that she's the next big thing in this division. And I get it to a certain extent. She's certainly an accomplished kickboxer. She uses forward pressure. She's got nice combinations, and she likes to overwhelm her opponents. The volume is impressive on her way in, and she does a really good job blasting your legs when she's on the way out. While she is a striker, she can grapple as well. She's got a whole bunch of wrestling takedowns, good heavy top pressure, and she does a really good job of mixing those two and working between the two of those. I agree with everybody. Joseph Knutsson is a very good, well-rounded fighter. Where I disagree with a lot of people just assume Julia sucks and she's going to get smoked. A lot of people just look at the Josefine Knutsson side and then just call it a day, don't even care about the other side, because Julia Polastri is good. She's a very well-rounded fighter herself. 6 striking, solid grappling. Her striking technique is clean, plenty of straight punches and kicks. She does have power for this division, but she doesn't really chase. She'll take her time. If she lands, she lands. She'll reset and she'll keep going. She does get taken down pretty easily though, but when she is on the ground, she's got solid BJJ. She will hunt for submissions. I think that Julia, I don't know if she's the more technical striker, but she is certainly the more dangerous striker. Without question, has the more powerful striking. The reason I'm picking Josefine Knutsson here, and the reason I'm picking her at a pretty high confidence, is because Julia can get taken down, and Josephine does a phenomenal job working in takedowns. Outside of that, I think Julia wins the striking exchanges. Julia lands with more meaningful power, and Julia is going to be a lot of trouble for Josephine. But all that means is that Josephine's going to wrestle even more than she normally would. So Josephine is my pick. But I do have a bet on Julia Polastri. I got win inside the distance, decision, no action, because Josephine's not finishing anybody. And if there is a finish in this fight, it will be on the Julia side. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, Julia is my lock of the week, and not super confident in it. I mean, it's a lock of the week, but I picked 2 underdogs. Shylon was one, Julia was the other. I told myself I'm never picking against a Brazilian for lock of the week ever again because it cost me my last 2 lock of the week. So it defaulted to Julia. I think it's going to be a close matchup. It's probably going to be a decision. It's probably going to come down to whatever kind of mood the judges are in that night, where they want control, power, volume, pressure. I mean, who knows? But what I do know about Julia is she is a tough fucking girl, man. She is a tough fucking girl. She doesn't have footwork. She doesn't do a lot of movement. She just stands there and she just gets fucking hit. And I assume that Josephine's probably going to just light her ass up. But she's kind of got this weird modified Philly shell to where she kind of blocks with this hand and she'll just eat shots and then return shots. And it almost seems, I mentioned in the Lock of the Week video, you're probably not familiar with Vibranium from Black Panther, but basically it absorbs all the damage and then it respawns all the damage that it absorbs like 10 times. And it feels like that's what Julia does in the striking. The more she gets hit, the more pressure she puts on these girls and the more power that she dishes out. It's pretty wild the way she just walks through shots and just keeps walking girls down. And she's losing all these exchanges, and then all of a sudden the other girls are tired. They've just been backing up the whole time, and then she starts landing off some decent combinations. You mentioned the wrestling. I mean, taking down a girl like Marnik Mann is like, Marnik Mann's not a UFC level type girl. I know she got wrestling in the past or whatever. Julia came in Contender Series, got mauled a little bit by Jasmine Juzadavicius, cleaned up everything after that. Now she has used her own offensive wrestling and grappling. When she gets taken down, you can see that she's immediately to the butterfly. She's trying to sweep. She's getting back to the feet. This girl does not mess around. She does not give a fuck. She is going to get there. She is going to probably get hit, but she is not going to back up. And as long as she doesn't get tired, which she could, we've seen UFC debuts happen time and time again where that happens. I think she's going to be walking forward, and she can do enough inside of rounds to have bigger moments to win her those rounds. But it's probably going to be a close fight, and we'll see how it plays out. But obviously, Julia's the lock of the week, but this isn't a typical lock of the week, probably. But nobody gives a fuck about that. I mean, if it loses, they're going to be like,
No, the circumstances never.
It doesn't matter how many times. I mean, just like last week, I was like, this is dangerous. I even told fucking, he didn't open my message, but I even told fucking Charlie Radke, hey, those knees up the middle, they're going to be there. Fucking, nobody gives a fuck.
Especially, sorry, I thought you would talk a little longer. Somebody commented, Jacob's on a skid or something like that. And I was like, he's 7-3 in the last 10. He lost 2. 7-3 in the last 10. I wouldn't go as far as like fell off a cliff. Yeah, they lost. But relax. I don't think Julia wins though. So unfortunately, I do think that extends. But I think it, oh God. I almost died. You would have had the, Tiffany's not home. Do you know CPR?
I wouldn't even make the trip.
Oh, wow. When you had your little McDonald's delivery mishap, I was very concerned for you and offered to come save your life.
I got a text at 8 in the morning.
No, it was like 5. You called me at like 3.
No,
but I would have come over.
And I was literally dying of an overdose.
Accidental. No, inadvertent. Either way, guys. $9,100 in DraftKings Fantasy. The only way Josefine Knutsson is worth that money is if she wrestles her ass off. That is the only way. She's not going to finish Julia. Julia is durable. Julia is tough. Julia can do a lot of things. And Josephine's not this prolific finisher. So for Josephine to be worth the $9,100, she will absolutely need to just wrestle her ass off. I don't know if she does.
She's not. I don't think she's gonna wrestle. She's gonna be the better striker.
I think she's a more technical striker, but not the more dangerous one. I think she will feel the power and then be like, "Oh shit!" Start wrestling.
She's gonna. This is how it's gonna play out. Is she gonna strike with her? She's gonna be having success because she's the faster striker. She's probably the cleaner striker. And then once, just like every other girl that seems to face Julia, once that's not really working and Julia's still in her face and she starts backing up, then she's going to turn to the wrestling, but then it's too fucking late, right? When you start wrestling when you're tired to try and relieve yourself,
you do the
especially off your back foot
tired.
when you're not really a all-in wrestler, I mean, it doesn't fucking work. And Julia's going to stuff those takedowns and really put it to her.
Well, if you think Josephine's going to have success with the wrestling, she is worth the $9,100. If you don't, she's not. I don't necessarily think I'm going to have her in my lineup at $9,100. I mentioned I do have that bet on Julia, the win inside the distance decision, no action. If Julia finishes Josefine Knutsson, I'll get paid. If she goes to a decision, which is the most likely outcome here, win or lose, I will get a full refund on that bet. But I decided to hop in on the more dangerous fighter in this matchup. If you want to check out all of Jacob's bets for this card, my bets, and the others, WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. It is only $10 for an entire month. We do have a super chat from Christian. Christian says, Jacob loves handsome women. Do you have a response for that?
I don't know if he's talking about anybody in this matchup because they're both good-looking girls.
Yeah, Julia's not ugly. So I don't know what that's about. I agree.